As well this morning, we track the path of Hurricane Lee, Category 2 now as it's churning north toward New England and the Maritimes. The storm has people on the U.S. East Coast preparing for heavy rain. There's a hurricane watch in parts of Maine, for example. They're gearing up for potentially damaging storm surge as well. As I was mentioning, currently Category 2 with winds about 200 kilometers an hour, and the location of this is about 500 kilometers southwest of Bermuda. It's expected to make landfall in eastern Maine or Atlantic Canada on the weekend.
That's how it's coming off.
And in advance, this is what Maritimers are doing. They're stocking up and shoring up ahead of Lee's arrival. Outside the Halifax Costco, people purchasing water, generators, and fuel. They're lining up as well. Look at that as they fill their tanks there. Preparations they hope they won't need to implement, but they're making sure they're ready just in case. The propane tank's ready to go there. Brett Ruskin is covering the story for us. And this is a change in the last hour. The rain obviously intensifying. Brett, you don't need to say a word. Is this part of the system that's on its way to you?
It's kind of an interesting one, Heather, because these are what we're seeing, these very isolated showers are kind of bits and pieces of the hurricane that broke off a little while ago and have now moved their way up the Atlantic and are now hitting and encountering. You see the rain tapers off all of a sudden. It's going to come back within the course of this little broadcast, I bet. But so bits and pieces of the hurricane are here. Tomorrow, we're going to see a lull. We're going to see a little bit less wind, a little bit less rain, and then the hurricane really does ramp up and arrive here in the area over the weekend. Now, where exactly that hurricane is going to hit, we still don't know exactly, but it's going to be kind of coming up the Bay of Fundy in that area, encountering and having an effect on western New Brunswick as well as southwestern Nova Scotia as well. And as you saw in those lineups, people are getting ready. People are lining up to get their propane tanks filled, to stock up on bottled water, on storm chips as well, getting their supplies ready for this storm because they remember very clearly about 1 year ago, Hurricane Fiona that hit, that caused so much damage, so many power outages, 80% of the province knocked off the grid for hours, if you were lucky, days, weeks in some cases. And so people are getting ready here in Nova Scotia. People are getting ready in New Brunswick as well, especially if you have kind of a boat down by the water. Here are a few folks preparing for the storm.
With the rainfall predicted, we're asking boaters here that have permits at Market Wharf St. Andrews to come in and secure their boats or remove them completely.
And speaking of boats preparing for the storm, you can see just kind of off in the distance there, a rowing team getting their last workout in before the wind picks up, before the waves pick up. So people are enjoying the weather while they still can. You can hear the ducks off in the corner with this weather only good for ducks, as they say. So we'll watch the storm as it approaches over the next number of hours, number of days, Heather.
That was incredibly well timed. That was almost like you cued the ducks. Anyway, thank you very much, Brett Ruskin. Such are his powers of reporting.